Hey everybody, thanks for stopping by. This is Haley, and I just wanted to do a quick process to show you how I made my own patterned paper for the A Meal Remembered devotional kit from By the Well for God. Everything that I use in this video will be linked down below. And so without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and put you guys on fast forward and get started. So here I have just a plain piece of copy paper, and I'm tracing the dimensions of my Bible page. And I'm gonna washi tape it to my Bible journaling mat from Illustrated Faith. And I'm gonna do some watercoloring. So I'm gonna wet the page down. I'm gonna do wet on wet, so wet paint on wet paper. When I do wet paint on dry paper, I tend to get pretty harsh lines, and I don't mind it, but with this, I really wanted the background to be soft and subtle. I just wanted it all to kind of blend together, not really seeing where one color ends and the next color begins. One of the things that I love about the kits from By the Well for God is they're very, very user-friendly. They come with everything you need to do artistic, crafty Bible journaling, we'll say, because you could easily do this with just a pen or pencil and paper. You don't need stamps and stickers and all this, but for people who don't have a lot of supplies, people who aren't sure what kind of supplies they like to use, or people who want to be artistic in their faith journaling processing but don't want to buy a bunch of stuff, these kits have everything you need. The only thing I would say a person might need is an acrylic block to fix the stamps to, because like the photopolymer stamps, you have to stick to something, a block of some kind, and an ink pad maybe. But they have incredible devotional content, 14 days worth, stamps, stickers, watercolor, die cut pieces, which are just little paper pieces. So yeah, they're a really good option. Here I'm using my heat tool to dry the paint. I know how gripping and suspenseful watching paint dry is, but I'd like you guys to stick around until the end of the video, so I went ahead and cut that out for you. And also the paper was super wet, so it took forever. Here I'm using a distress ink called Hickory Smoke, and I'm showing you this remembrance stamp. And I wanted to do a process called, or a technique called repeat stamping, but then I realized that the title of my page is called All Sinful or Not Sinful, and that really has nothing to do with remembering anything. I mean, if you wanted to take a leap, you know, remembering not to sin, maybe, but so I decided to go with this floral stamp, and I'm doing first and second generation stamping. So what that means is your first generation is when you put your stamp to the ink and then your stamp to the paper. And then there's going to be a little bit of ink left behind on the stamp. So if you just pick it right back up and stamp again on the page like I did right there, that second one is going to be much more faint. That's called your second generation stamp. My friend Jillian has an incredible YouTube channel. You probably have heard of her. It's really unlikely that you would land on my video and not hers, because she's very popular and well known in the Bible journaling community. But first of all, she has an incredible playlist called Bible Journaling for Beginners that I'm going to link below, because that's where I've learned most of the techniques I use, or the philosophies that I employ while creatively processing through my faith. But one of them is clusters, like 3 groupings on the page, because that creates a visual triangle and it helps your eye move around the page in a better way. I don't really get it, but it works. The pages of mine that I've looked back on that I love have that, and the ones that I enjoyed the process of but not really the artistic outcome have groups of like 4 or 5 groups, and it just feels like too much. So I have one in the top left corner, one in the bottom left corner, and one in the bottom right corner. So I'm just putting some clear stickers down. I wanted to hoard these, so I decided to use them. And now I'm grabbing another clear sticker from the sheet, but I'm going to stick it to a piece of white paper and fussy cut it out. Even though it has color, if I had put it straight to the page, it's still a transparent sticker. So you would see the lines from the stamping through it, and the paint color behind it would change the pigment look of the sticker. So that way it remains as its beautiful self and not muddled up by the things behind it. I had my devotional book up there on day 10 of the devotion. It's called Binary Choices, and it talks about Jesus is sharing with his disciples. Excuse me. Oh, so here, I'm going to pause for a second. I'm writing out my title, All Sinful or Not Sinful, and I'm doing a letter count. There's a lot of like L's and duplicated letters in this phrase, and so I wanted to know how many I would need of each one, so I wasn't taking the stamps on and off the block multiple times. So that's what's going on right now. Also, I'm testing acrylic paint versus an ink pad. I don't like the acrylic paint, so I go with the ink pad. So back to the devotion. Jesus is in the upper room discourse. That's what this whole devotional kit is about, a meal remembered. And in John 15, Jesus is talking with the disciples about how basically if you love Jesus, the world is going to hate you, because if you love Jesus, you want to look like Jesus, and if you look like Jesus, you don't look like the world. And if you love Jesus, you can't love the world. Those things cannot coexist, and how that area is not gray. They are two separate camps. It is white and it is black, and that's a hard truth to convey. It's a hard thing to discuss, and I really appreciated the way the author wrote that sin is like that relationship with the world and with Jesus. Sin is all sinful or it's not sinful. It's never sort of sinful, and I appreciated how like precise that was. So that's the title of my page. So I did all my stamping, I heat set it, and now I'm cutting each letter out. I really don't enjoy fussy cutting. I think all cutting is fussy cutting, if I'm being honest. But I did quite a bit of it in this process, and I enjoyed it. I liked making my own alpha tiles here. I left the white border because the whole background is colored to create more contrast and to help the letters stick out more. As I was cutting all these, it made me think of how people would portray ransom notes being written back in the day. Like people would cut up newspapers and stuff, and I realized like I could have never been a criminal back then because that was time consuming and not my favorite thing. So I was feeling like the page was a little disjointed. I liked all the components, but I didn't feel like they were harmonious. And I don't know what the magic is of splatter painting your page, but it really brings things together. I think for me what it was the stark black outline on the clear stickers. It was very harsh compared to, first of all, the muted background and stamping. The colors up until that point had been more subtle, and that black outline is just like bam. Also, there was no other black on the page. So I think the splatters brought the black into the whole page and helped soften up maybe the look of those stickers. So here I'm putting the stickers down from right to left because of the orientation of the page. I started from the outside margin and I'm working toward what would be the spine of the Bible. Ask me how many times I have started too far in one direction and had to pick all my stickers back up and re-put them back down. I'm finally learning my lesson. Here I'm using the Illustrated Faith roller dated stamp to put down today's date. And now I'm just going to trim out my tip in. And you'll see there's some stamping and stickers that went past the outline of the page. That's another tip I learned from Jillian. If you keep everything confined to the parameters of your page, it can look really like congested. But if you let things look like they're coming onto the page or moving off of the page, it's just a little more free feeling. Now I'm just going to use some dry adhesive tape runner, and I'm just going to stick it in my Bible and glue it down and call it a day. Thanks so much for joining me. Make sure you look in the comments for all the links. Take care, and I hope I'll see you guys soon. God bless.